The Bible presents evil in diverse forms, often through stories and characters that embody wickedness or rebellion against God. Some examples of evil are overt, like the serpent in Eden or Judas' betrayal of Christ. However, evil can also manifest subtly, revealing itself through the ambitions and actions of various individuals. One such character is Nimrod, whose story offers insight into human rebellion, ambition, and the interpretation of historical and theological narratives. While Nimrod is mentioned briefly in the Bible, his legacy has grown through non-canonical writings, apocryphal texts, and traditions. These sources add layers of complexity to his character, portraying him as either a tyrant who defied God or a misunderstood ruler of remarkable capabilities. This expanded discussion explores the life, deeds, and legacy of Nimrod, using both biblical references and supplementary accounts to uncover the nature of his actions and their implications. Nimrod's biblical origins. The Bible first mentions Nimrod in Genesis 10 verses 8 to 12. Cush was the father of Nimrod, who became a mighty warrior on the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. That is why it is said, like Nimrod, a mighty hunter before the Lord. The first centers of his kingdom were Babylon, Uruk, Akkad, and Calneh, in Shinar. From that land, he went to Assyria, where he built Nineveh, Rehoboth-ir, Calah, and Rezin, which is between Nineveh and Calah, which is the great city. This passage provides a genealogical introduction to Nimrod as the son of Cush, grandson of Ham, and great-grandson of Noah. He is described as a mighty hunter before the Lord, and credited with founding prominent cities, including Babylon and Nineveh. However, the brief mention leaves much about his character and motivations unexplored. Interpretations of Nimrod, hero or villain. The flattering view. Nimrod the Bold. One interpretation of Nimrod's story views him as a strong, capable leader. His description as a mighty hunter before the Lord could imply that he was a man of exceptional skill and courage, admired for his abilities and leadership. Under this perspective, Nimrod is celebrated as a builder of cities and a pioneer who established powerful civilizations. This view aligns with the idea that God may have blessed Nimrod with strength and wisdom, making him a role model for courage and ambition. His conquests and city-building efforts could be seen as fulfilling the cultural mandate to subdue the earth and establish human dominion. Genesis 1 verse 28. The opposing view. Nimrod the tyrant. More commonly, Nimrod is portrayed as a rebellious and oppressive figure. This interpretation connects him to the Tower of Babel narrative in Genesis 11 verses 1 to 9, where humanity's ambition to build a tower reaching heaven is seen as defiance against God's authority. Although the Bible does not explicitly name Nimrod as the leader of this effort, many traditions associate him with the project. Under this view, Nimrod's mighty hunter description reflects his predatory nature, not as a hunter of animals, but as a hunter of men, tyrannizing and oppressing others to establish his rule. Josephus, a first-century historian, wrote that Nimrod incited rebellion against God, encouraging people to trust in their strength rather than divine providence. He claimed that Nimrod built the Tower of Babel as a defense against another flood, showing a lack of trust in God's covenant never to flood the earth again. Genesis 9 verse 11. Josephus further stated, Nimrod transformed his strength into tyranny, persuading men not to ascribe their happiness to God, but to believe it was their own courage that procured it. Flavius Josephus, Antiquities of the Jews, Book 1, Chapter 4. Nimrod and the Tower of Babel. The Tower of Babel is central to Nimrod's legacy. While the Bible does not explicitly name him as its architect, traditions often attribute the tower's construction to him. The narrative in Genesis 11 verses 4 to 9 highlights humanity's pride in God's intervention. Then they said, Come, let us build ourselves a city, with a tower that reaches to the heavens, so that we may make a name for ourselves. Otherwise, we will be scattered over the face of the whole earth. But the Lord came down to see the city and the tower the people were building. The Lord said, "If as one people speaking the same language they have begun to do this, then nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them. Come, let us go down and confuse their language so they will not understand each other." So the Lord scattered them from there over all the earth, and they stopped building the city. Tradition interprets Nimrod's role in the tower as an act of defiance, aiming to challenge God's authority and establish human independence. His ambition was to reach the heavens, not to glorify God, but to assert human dominance. Extra-biblical traditions. Nimrod's expanded story. Nimrod's strength and the garments of Adam. Some Jewish traditions suggest Nimrod's strength came from the garments of Adam, passed down to him through Noah. These garments, supposedly made by God in the Garden of Eden Genesis 3 verse 21, were believed to imbue the wearer with divine power. With these garments, Nimrod became an invincible warrior, capable of conquering nations and asserting dominion. Nimrod and Abraham. In rabbinical literature, Nimrod often appears as a rival to Abraham, representing the clash between idolatry and monotheism. According to the Midrash, Nimrod demanded that Abraham worship fire and other elements. Abraham refused, using logic to demonstrate the futility of such worship. Enraged, Nimrod had Abraham thrown into a fiery furnace, but God protected Abraham, and he emerged unharmed, a testament to his faith and God's power. Daniel 3 verse 25 echoes this story with parallels in the account of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He said, "Look, I see 4 men walking around in the fire, unbound and unharmed, and the 4th looks like a son of the gods." The death of Haran. Abraham's brother, Haran, wavered in his allegiance, planning to side with the victor of the confrontation between Abraham and Nimrod. When Abraham survived the fire, Haran declared his loyalty but was thrown into the furnace and perished. His story highlights the consequences of indecision and the importance of unwavering faith. Nimrod in Islamic and Arabic traditions. Islamic texts, such as Kitab al-Maghal, the Book of Rolls, expand Nimrod's story, describing him as the first king to wear a crown. These traditions portray him as a fire worshipper who sought divine status and led his people into idolatry. His confrontation with Abraham is retold with variations, emphasizing his arrogance and eventual downfall. Legacy. Nimrod's symbolism. Nimrod's story, whether as a historical figure or a symbolic archetype, carries profound lessons about human ambition, rebellion, and the consequences of defying God. His association with Babylon ties him to the theme of pride and judgment, as seen in Revelation 18 verse 2. Fallen is Babylon the Great. She has become a dwelling for demons and a haunt for every impure spirit. Nimrod's dual legacy. Nimrod remains a fascinating and polarizing figure in biblical and extra-biblical traditions. Whether viewed as a mighty ruler or a defiant rebel, his story serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of pride and the importance of humility before God. His legacy invites reflection on the balance between human ambition and divine submission, urging believers to seek God's guidance in all endeavors.
If you found this video enjoyable, please consider liking and sharing it. Additionally, subscribing to this channel will ensure that you receive more updates in the future. Thank you.